What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. And listen, everyone in the comments, because these always get on to me about turning up late. We was on time, but we was having a little natter before we came on. So, you know, I'm innocent today, people. They're pulling me up. They're always saying I'm on Jamaican time, which is about 10 or 15 minutes late.
My fault today, Curtis.
You know what I mean? But as everyone can see, special guest in the building, Mr. Graham Brooks, Mr. Tactician. How are you, Graham?
I'm all right, mate. I'm very well. How are you?
No, I'm all right. This international break, it's one of them, innit, where you you moan about Arsenal sometimes and these up and down results, but then when it's England against San Marino, you're like, you know what, I could do with an Arsenal game right now.
Did you think about doing a watch along for the San Marino game?
No, I didn't. I had no interest in that.
I've got no interest either. But before we get into all things related on Arsenal today, because I'm looking forward to talking to you today.
Yeah.
I don't know if your viewers know, but I did my comeback on Same Old Arsenal this week. So
yeah,
I'm not doing too many pods at the moment, but I just want to build it up slowly till I get back into it. I want to get back into me tactical insight show on aftv eventually when the lockdown ends. Yeah. And I will build this back up slowly with one or two people. I'm committed to the Arsenal Lounge, but as well. But I do need to come back slowly. People need to understand that I've been through a very difficult time, and I've had a very difficult last few months. I lost my mother. I've had a bit of grief in my life as well. So I'm trying to come back to it, but it's a gradual build up. And enormous respect for you, Curtis. I think your channel is one of the best ones out there, and I think you've got good numbers already. You deserve far more than that. The content you're putting out, I do follow it, and it is outstanding content. You've got some really great guests like Deluded, Turkish, and people like that on the channel as well. And also Insight the other week with, more famous characters. So and that speaks volumes for the fact that your channel is outstanding. So keep doing what you're doing, bro. I think you're an example of somebody who basically is living the dream and proving to be successful. So I wish you all the best, and it's always lovely to be back on your channel. Obviously, once a month or something is great, and I always look forward to talking to you. But before we start, I said to you that I'll give you my Friday bonus, didn't I? And this
you did. Go on.
This is for your viewers, right, on the channel. Now, basically, on Twitter, I follow Days Without a Trophy, which is Tottenham Hotspur, which is currently up to 4,779 days without a trophy. And you got to laugh at Tottenham, haven't you?
You have to.
This is their Friday bonus today. I just want to read it out to you on Twitter today.
Go on.
Very Spursy this. Friday bonus. Spurs' last trophy win is closer to Euro 96 than to the present day. Spurs' last FA Cup is closer to England's World Cup win than to the present day. And Spurs' last league title is closer to the Wright brothers' first flight than to the present day. So that is very Spursy. I thought we'd just get that in before we get going today, mate.
You know what? Whenever things are bad at Arsenal, and you think, wow, we're ninth in the league, blah, blah, blah. And you think, you know what? They've been over a decade without a trophy, and it was a League Cup. So we're better than Spurs, and they'll always be in our shadow anyway. So I love that.
The thing is, Curtis, the fact that we moved to North London makes them relevant, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Moved there and then took over, didn't we? So I love that. So Spursy, and it's so Spursy. Do you know what? Since the last time we spoke, we have actually improved a little bit. It was I think I was moaning a lot before. Now it's not so bad. We'll break down certain individual games and stuff. But what have you made of the difference in Arsenal? We've kind of been playing with one winger and then like a number 10 on the wing in Smith Rowe, and people are talking about Lacazette and Aubameyang. What have you made of the way we've been playing lately?
I'm seeing signs of improvement. I think the league table, and don't get me wrong, I'm not in any way saying this is a barometer of where we are as a club. I do think we're a club in transition, Curtis.
Yeah.
I said it on the Same Old Arsenal the other night. I think that mentally we're a cup team, not a league team. And the league table doesn't like. But we have improved since Christmas. But I think you have to say that you shouldn't just judge it since Christmas. You have to judge it over a season. Yeah. And this season has been our worst season for 30 years. We have shown signs of improvement, but we still are terribly inconsistent under Mikel Arteta. Our last 9 league games, 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses. Wow. You never know what Arsenal's going to turn up, do you? And I think that was exemplified in the West Ham game. after we put in our best performance, in my opinion, the previous week against Tottenham, we reverted to probably our worst 35 minutes under Mikel Arteta this season. There were reasons for that, which I'm quite happy to go into. But I think generally there are signs of improvement under Mikel Arteta. But I think, one of the improvements has been the fact that Odegaard has now come in and started to make an impression, and also the young talents he's got around him. He's almost like playing now with 3 number 8s behind a central striker. So you've got like Aubameyang or Lacazette playing at 9, and then you've got like Smith Rowe, Odegaard, and Saka, who are sort of like behind a main striker. And I think the change to this, it's not quite a 4-3-3. I think he's still playing 4-2-3-1. It's a very fluid system. But the thing is, the players are getting better acquainted, and that's, I think, led to the improvement. The only problem is every now and then, because of the amount of games that they're playing, because of the way this league season has been structured, and we don't know what these players are feeling after games, and there's recovery time and all the sports science that take into effect that he will look at before he picks his next team. He occasionally tinkers around with it, and then we find the inconsistency, I think, as a result of that. And we saw that again at the weekend when he swapped Saka and Aubameyang. He literally left Smith Rowe out of the team to accommodate Aubameyang in the team. And that affected what he had going right for him before. And also when he changes it at the back a lot, he seems to favour certain players. And I think Dan Potts and Same Old Arsenal made a really good point. He's sort of got his core players that he plays, but then he sort of like rotates certain players. And I think, for example, he likes to play out from the back. But if you're going to play out from the back, you can't keep changing the personnel at the back because they're not familiar with it so much. And I know they practice on the training ground, but players get awfully familiar. You're an ex-footballer, pro footballer yourself. And I think if you're playing with the same players week in, week out, you get used to their habits. You get used to the structure of the team. When new players come into the team, it changes that dynamic. And I think that's it. But the improvement, I think, is there to see. It's based on the fact that certain players now are being have got used to each other. Certain players are delivering on the pitch. I think there has been improvement, not enough. And I think that what I'm doing with the manager, I flip flop on the manager every week. So against Tottenham, I thought, yes, he's finally outdone Mourinho tactically in a game. I saw the tactics how he did that, and I thought, so he's finally making a statement here. Then I see the tactics against West Ham. And I just think that he sent the players out with the wrong team, the wrong structure, the wrong mindset, players playing in wrong positions. And then it all goes tits up. And you think this manager is not what I thought he was. I think ultimately for me, how I will see it is, have we improved? It will be at the end of the season. It is absolutely imperative, Curtis, that we win that Europa League. We couldn't have an easier route to the final with these two teams. If we beat Prague, we get probably Zagreb or Villarreal, I think. And then we final, which probably is likely to be Man United. He has to win that Europa League. That will be massive, not just get our route back in the Champions League and delivering a trophy, but he will then have the money to go out and buy in the summer what he needs. If he doesn't do that, we're going to be stuck with the same old players. And that's why I think you see contracts, negotiations being put on hold. I think he needs to know what's going to be happening next season where he decides what he's going to do with these players, ultimately. And I think he also needs to know what's happening with Odegaard, because Odegaard now is proving to be, Curtis, I think, everything that we need in this team. And he needs to keep him. And I think there's talk about another loan for another year. But he needs to know if he's going to get Odegaard, because if he's not going to have Odegaard next year, bearing in mind that sort of player is perfect for this team, he's going to have to go out and find a replacement.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I've been looking into this Odegaard situation a little bit, and I'm not overly confident that we're going to find it easy to get him in on a permanent. I mean, I read something from their owner where he was saying, you know, they think this guy's the future. I think it's actually Zidane who has kind of not been totally convinced by him. But the fact Real Madrid are third in the league, you know, are they going to let a 22-year-old, and he's having a good season at Arsenal, he's the captain of Norway. You look at Modric, Toni Kroos, you know, they're in their 30s now. So, yeah, and you know, if he goes back to Real Madrid, we've then got a massive hole in our team. I mean, Smith Rowe can play in the 10, but I don't think he's as good in the 10 maybe as Odegaard.
I think the thing for me with Odegaard is that every great performance he puts in for us, I'm sad to say, means it less likely he's going to stay. Because what Real Madrid have done, they've loaned him out to us. Now, they're not silly. Zidane doesn't rate him. God knows why. I mean, Zidane was one of the greatest midfield players of his generation, probably one of the greatest midfield players ever.
Yeah.
And I can't see he doesn't see the talent in Odegaard, but for some reason he doesn't. So what Real Madrid have done is they've put him out to Arsenal, knowing that he's in the shop window. So if they decide ultimately to cash in on him, there's going to be, in my opinion, how good he is. They'll want as much money as possible, because I'm hearing rumours that they want to finance a deal for Kylian Mbappe, right? So I'm not sure if they're going to get that over the line. But the one thing with Odegaard is they know that if he's putting in brilliant performances for Arsenal, lots of big top clubs are going to be interested, and then they can literally take the best deal they can get for him. Now, Arsenal are not going to be able to pay massive money for him, are they? And that's clear. So that's the worry. I think if he starts playing really well, we saw on Sunday just how good he was. His numbers were actually outstanding.
Yeah.
And he was the one who dragged us back into that game by the scruff of the neck. I'll tell you what, I was watching it, right? And I thought he was the player that the senior players were going to. You could say that's an indictment of the senior players. Because I watched Xhaka struggling on Sunday. He's the one who's been trying to get us back into it. And he was shocking on Sunday, in my opinion. and I don't think Xhaka is our future. We do need to. No. I know Harry Simu, if he's watching this, will be tearing his hair out because he loves Xhaka. You know, he
loves Xhaka. Wow.
He masturbates over Xhaka. Him and Dan.
Oh my God! I don't know. What does he see in him, man?
Don't get me wrong. Xhaka's numbers for Arsenal are not bad, but it's his mistakes that and the fact that I do think he's a bit immobile. I've always thought that.
Very immobile.
But the reality is that we need to get past Xhaka. But I didn't think he fancied it on Sunday, and it was Odegaard with Partey in that second half. Partey, the one who finally became like everything about our central midfield that Xhaka wasn't, who was giving in the balls through the lines, and he was starting to dictate the play, popping off lovely passes and really sort of like opening them up. I do think tactically we were helped on Sunday by David Moyes. Really strange decision. I hate to say it. The way they pinned us back in that first half, Curtis, with long diagonal balls out to Chambers' side. They identified that as the weakness, and they were getting players in that area. And Aubameyang and Chambers wasn't working on that side, and they were sort of looking for knockdown second balls, and they were putting crosses into our box, and we just couldn't cope with it. That's why we were behind. But what Moyes should have done when they were 3-0 up, he decided, I think, wrongly to go to a defensive shape. But having committed to that defensive shape, Curtis, he for some reason didn't ask Jesse Lingard to track back on that right-hand side. So he left Cresswell totally exposed against two of our players every time we attacked. All our attacks started to come down that side where Cresswell was, and we kept getting overloads in wide areas. And that's why Chambers looked so dynamic, because basically he was the spare man. And all the crosses, even when Pepe come on, our last goal came from Pepe getting in. Literally, he pushed him into that space, Odegaard, with that pass. And he was at acres of space to get the cross in for Lacazette to head in. But I just think that he just invited us to dominate that game. He didn't close that out. And Moyes is a good manager. But I kept thinking, why is he not allowing Cresswell to be exposed with two Arsenal players against him? Because that's how we were getting joy in that area in the second half. So ultimately, we fought back. So tactically, we were poor in the first half, Curtis, and our players were strolling around as well, thinking that they had a European game on Thursday. We just want to feel our way into the game. West Ham were never going to allow that. I think he knows that Arsenal start slowly, so he targeted one side and they went at it. But in the second half, I think he allowed us to get back into it. So, but Odegaard for me was instrumental in everything, and I just, I don't know if you saw it, but I'll leave you with this, and you can come back in your next point. I put a very innocent tweet on Twitter that was trending because it actually all the Ozil trolls came out. I'm a massive Mesut Ozil fan. I get stick.
I know you are.
I get absolutely pillared for sort of like praising Mesut Ozil. over the years, because I think Mesut Ozil was one of my favourite ever footballers, and I love watching. I feel privileged that he played for Arsenal. Every week I used to go and look at what he did. When I went to watch Arsenal live, I was watching Ozil all the time. So I love Ozil. I know how good he is. The last 2 years he hasn't been so good. And Arteta said himself he couldn't play him because he couldn't get out of him what he needed Ozil to be in that team. Right. Yeah. So I think Odegaard is what he wanted Ozil to be. So I put a tweet out saying Martin Odegaard is everything that Arsenal wanted Mesut Ozil to be, because you can't put a massive long tweet out. You've got to keep it short, haven't you? And all of a sudden, and I was getting like thousands of sort of like messages to me. Such disrespect for Mesut Ozil. Sort of like, this is why the Arsenal fan base is such a state. Blah 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 blah. You know, and sort of like, you disrespecting Ozil. Hope you die was one. What? So I thought it was, you know, a very innocent tweet got taken right out of context. But the point being is, I saw on Sunday just how good Odegaard is, and that's why I hope we can get a deal at least to keep him for another year.
I mean, look, I think that sums up Arsenal Twitter, to be honest, that reaction. But listen, it's not difficult to see what you meant. You're not saying he's better or anything than Ozil. He plays very similar to him. He's very light on the ball. He's left-footed. He sees the picture. That little reverse ball, what he played into Pepe, where Pepe probably should have done better. You know, it is a very Mesut Ozil-like player. And he's got the engine, what Ozil didn't really have at the end.
Yes.
I felt Ozil's legs were going a little bit. So why that got taken out of context is not...
I'm not saying I'm not disrespecting the career that Mesut Ozil had at Arsenal. Mesut Ozil, when he came to Arsenal, we hadn't won a trophy for 9 years. We missed a massive opportunity to build a team around Sanchez and Ozil. I've told you that myself.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think Ozil Odegaard is nowhere near Ozil's level at the moment, as good as he is. I think about the level Ozil was, you know. So I'm not comparing them as a player, their careers at Arsenal. I'm not trying to disrespect Ozil. To this day, I've been arguing with Kenny Ken on Mesut Ozil for a long time. Even Lee Gunner, I did a pod with Lee Gunner about it, where Lee Gunner obviously put the case against Mesut Ozil. I've always defended Mesut Ozil. To those Ozil fans or trolls, whoever they were, whoever sort of like were targeting me, I don't know if they're going to watch your show. Some of them might, but they need to understand nobody loves Mesut Ozil more than me. You know, I think he's one of the best footballers I've seen of his generation. I'm privileged that he played for Arsenal. I loved watching him play. I used to literally watch him in games, just how he glided around, what he did. Nobody appreciates the Ozil more than me. Certainly the Ozil up to about 2 years ago. And I think the football has evolved a bit. That's made it difficult for Ozil at the end of his career. And Arsenal started to change the way they were playing under Emery, where we started going out wide more than through the centre of the pitch. The cutbacks, which didn't suit him. And even under Arteta, we're playing a way at the moment that probably is asking him to be more than what he was, you know, in terms of work rate and pressing. So I look, in no way did I mean to disrespect Mesut Ozil. I think he's been a fabulous player, had a fabulous career, one of the all-time great players, and he had a very good Arsenal career. So I'm disappointed that those people thought that, Curtis, because and I know some people went on there just to make it worse and cause trouble. But there was genuine people on there, people who I respect. Some of them who I follow, because you look at the names, one or two people there got that totally wrong. And I think that I kept trying to say to people, look at the bigger picture. Don't take the tweet exactly what it was. You need to think a bit deeper, but they just couldn't. So, but look, coming back to Odegaard, I see we've got a player there. And I think he fits how we want to play. I think he feels comfortable in the team. I think he likes North London. And I don't know what he's thinking in terms of whether he wants to be a career at Arsenal long term. But I certainly think the way he's adapted very quickly. Remember, he's a young lad from Norway, come to England. Not easy to come and adapt. I think he's our best ever January signing, I would say.
Aubameyang was January.
Obviously Aubameyang,
But just to go back quickly to your Ozil point, I mean, I've had strong opinions on Mesut Ozil. I don't want to go on to him too much, but I think if you're talking about talent, you know, unquestionable talent, one of the best number 10s probably that's been around. But I do. I kind of compare him to like the footballing version of Arsene Wenger, where I almost think towards the end, I think he overstayed his welcome. I think the way we played, we couldn't really have a number 10 in our team, and like you said, we didn't build the team around Mesut Ozil to get the best out of him. When we had Cazorla, Ramsey, Ozil, Sanchez, you look at the players, we were crying out for that defensive midfielder and that striker to take us. Like you said, we said off camera, we should have won the Leicester title. That was our title. You know, Giroud went 15 games without scoring and we threw it away. So whilst Ozil, for me, I've got mixed feelings. Great player. I kind of think by the time he left and the way he was pushed out the door, it felt a little bit sour. You know, he didn't leave with his head held high and all the fans, you know, praising him for leaving. I think a lot of people were celebrating getting his wage off the wage bill, which was a little bit sad, really, considering what he probably could have been.
Yeah. Do you see parallels with the Aubameyang contract with Ozil at all? Well, I know we're going to talk about that. What's your view on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, the difference with that, Aubameyang was great last season. He scored 22 goals in the league. He pretty much won us the FA Cup. You don't then become a bad player in the space of a couple of months. I think with Arsenal, we do this a lot. I don't see teams being built around our best players. I just see Aubameyang, to me, is a very good player, and we just put him in the team and say, well, if he scores today, he scores. When you look at Leicester, that whole team is structured around Vardy. They play to get him in, to get him scoring goals. They've built around him. With Arsenal, we've seen Aubameyang on the right against West Ham. I've never seen Aubameyang have a good game on the right.
He doesn't score goals when he plays on the right, does he, either?
He doesn't score goals there. We played him on the left. I mean, he's done well on the left before, but at the start of this season, we had him on the touchline putting crosses in with his left foot, you know, and he doesn't play like that. So, I mean, we're going to touch on it. We might as well go on to it now. Now you've brought up Aubameyang.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, I think that this could be like another Mesut Ozil moment. I'm not talking about in terms of the contract, because he's our best player. He deserves the best wage. But what I see is once we commit to a player like that, we have to build the team around him. I think a lot of the reason why he struggled this year is because the way we've been playing. And I just think once we committed to build the team around him, we had to get, like, if we're going to play him central striker, we had to get a number 10, someone who could play him in behind the lines, you know. And we didn't do that at the start of the season. That's why we struggled. I also think the change from the way we were playing under Arteta last year, he was playing wide left. We were playing like with a back 3 or a back 5 last year when we had the success. That's why he was so good in the way that we played with our build-up play, playing out from the back, switching it, bringing him into play on the left-hand side a lot where we could, getting an overload to create sort of like an opportunity where he always had that opportunity to come inside if he got the ball and shoot. And he scored some great goals last year when we played in that style. But the thing is, he changed the system this year to the back 4. Yeah. Moved away from what we were doing well with Aubameyang last year. But he didn't, when he committed to that 4-2-3-1, he didn't really, and this was before Smith Rowe got in the team, he didn't really have somebody playing. We had defensive midfielders playing in a 4-2-3-1 structure. So I just think Aubameyang was not going to get the service playing either a central striker or out wide left. And I think that's one of the reasons why he struggled for form. I think he has got credit in the bank. I mean, Arteta owes him because Arteta's got credit in the bank himself thanks to Aubameyang. Aubameyang won in the FA Cup last year. Aubameyang has had outstanding seasons at Arsenal. His goal record at Arsenal is outstanding. And so I think you know, all players have downturns in form, but I think he's not been helped by the way we've changed our systems this year, and also not been helped by the fact that I just think that we're not playing to his strengths. We didn't sort of, once we committed to actually give him that big deal, we had to build the team around him, which we failed to do under Sanchez and Ozil. But I know there's certain reasons for that. The fact that we've got a pandemic going on, that money's tight. But I think they had to do something to get something in place to get the best out of Aubameyang. And I think, as you said quite rightly, I just think they put him on the pitch and just let him hope that he's going to do it. And he can't keep doing it. Not without football is fundamentally a team game. I know there are individuals who change games, but fundamentally, if you're not set up right to give those individuals the opportunities to express themselves and do the things they do well, they can't do what you would like. And I think we've missed a massive opportunity with Aubameyang. And I think that the worry is now, I just see a team evolving away from Aubameyang, Curtis. I see Lacazette more suited to the way Arteta wants to play in that number 9 role, because he wants someone to hold the ball up, who's going to work hard, who's committed. He's not as prolific goal scorer. I think Aubameyang, you've got the numbers. I think Aubameyang's got 14 this year in all competitions. Is that true?
In all comps, yeah.
And I think Lacazette's got about 13. But something like that. Lacazette is second to Aubameyang. But over the last few weeks, Lacazette has been getting better. He had a good performance in the North London derby and a good performance against West Ham. But he's not as prolific as Aubameyang. But in the system Arteta wants to play, and that's why I think the speculation has come out today about him now doing a flip-flop and offering Lacazette a new contract, because he sees value in the way Lacazette offers the team. He's not as good a player as Aubameyang. He's not as prolific goal scorer as Aubameyang, but he suits the way that we want to play, guys.
Yeah. Let me just read this super chat. Thank you very much, Cliff. He said, well said, Graham. If we're giving him all that dosh, we have to build the team around Aubameyang. Until then, Laka is our best bet. Luton Gooner in Miami. Thank you very much. Just to get back to you on that, Graham, because I know a lot of people at the moment are saying play Lacazette, and I think it's clear to see Lacazette links up with those 3 attacking players better than Aubameyang does. I think what my problem is with that, a lot of people compare him to Firmino. The difference with Firmino's got 2 wide players that score 30 or 40 goals between them. Our wide players are not that prolific. So we kind of rely on our striker to score goals at Arsenal.
I agree 100%.
Firmino can score 10 goals. It's not a problem. Salah will score 30 and Mane will get 20. We don't do that. My worry with Lacazette, I've seen this run of form in the past where Lacazette player of the month, he's played great. He can go 7, 8, 9 games, even longer without scoring sometimes. That is my only worry with Lacazette. And like you said, this story's broke today that he's going to be offered a new contract by Arteta when it did look like he was going to leave. He turns 30 in May. Does it make sense for Arsenal, when you consider what they've committed to Aubameyang, to then, Lacazette's on 150, so he's going to want a pay rise. Potentially 200 grand a week for 2 strikers that are in their 30s. You're looking at £500,000 wages at 2 strikers that are probably both slightly past their best. I mean, what do you think of Lacazette getting a new contract despite, the fact he has improved?
Well, I think for me, it depends on whether we get the Champions League. If we get Champions League football next year, you could understand. You could understand it a bit. If we're stuck in Europa, we're not going to get in a better. I'll start it again. I'm just thinking about it. Me personally. I wouldn't give him a new contract. I don't think you can have 2 players of that age on massive money at a club, particularly if you're only in the Europa League, right? So I think if we don't win the Europa League, I think he'll offer Lacazette a new contract, because we won't be able to afford to go out and get a replacement. And so that's just my opinion. I think Lacazette is the thing that Lacazette's got going for him, Curtis, and I know this because obviously I've heard this, is he's very well liked in the dressing room. Now, dressing room harmony is very important in any football club. We saw at the end of the Arsene Wenger reign how the dressing room fell apart over the fact that Sanchez was offered, didn't want to stay, but was still getting picked, right? And you saw Ramsey and Koscielny come out and say that.
Yeah.
So Laka is really well respected. His work rate, his commitment is not faulted. He's good in the group. The group love him. He's doing everything that Arteta wants. Funny enough, like they all do when they're on the verge of a new contract.
Yeah.
But if we got any ambitions to win the Premier League or to get better, to get in the Champions League, we've got to get better than Lacazette. And I don't mean that as a disrespect to Lacazette before all the Lacazette lovers come snapping at me on in the comments because I love Lacazette. I think he's a very good player, but I think ultimately now this is the time to cash in on him. And we got Balogun and Nketiah. You know, it depends what he wants to do with them, of course. But the biggest thing for me is I think we got a ready-made striker sitting there already who could take his place, and so who you could rotate, and that's Martinelli. For the simple reason that when Martinelli has played at centre forward, he's really impressed me, and his numbers are pretty good there. I think he's played something like 9 or 10 games at centre forward. He's got about 8 goals and 1 assist. It's pretty good numbers for someone. So, in answer to your question, I think how this is going to pan out, I think the negotiations, although, as you said, and I see that story today, and on more than one link, that basically he's looking at giving Lacazette a contract based on his current form, the way he's playing now. He's really happy with him, right? But I think ultimately these contract negotiations haven't started. I think he's going to have his hand held slightly by the fact it depends on what happens when we get Champions League football. So if we get Champions League, if we stay in the Europa, so we don't win the Europa League, and we're not going to finish in the top 4. We won't. We could even be out of Europe next year. I think he's going to have to stick with Lacazette because even a Lacazette on better wages, because he'll want something like 200 grand plus, won't he, if he stays? I think he's on 150, so he's not going to stay for less. He might even want 250. So how are we going to afford to pay that money if we're not in the Champions League? I don't know. But if we are decided we're going to commit to it, we're going to do it because we can't attract a better striker than him because we're not in the Champions League. And basically, that the Lacazette, what we got, is probably still going to be better than what we would have got because we're not in the Champions League. So I think with everything at Arteta at the moment, everything is on hold, and it depends on what happens in the rest of the season. The last part of the season is massive for Arteta, massive for Arsenal. It's going to determine what players he gets rid of, what players come in, because he's got to start making plans for next season. Because if he doesn't start doing something next season, I think that, fans will be back by then, and I think he'll be judged. He'll have a pre-season as well, which is always an excuse for this year not going quite so well. But with a pre-season, he's pretty much getting the team that he wants now in place. I think a lot of these players are Arteta players. So when he gets the final pieces to his jigsaw, people are going to expect him to start delivering. Now, the expectations at Arsenal are massive. We are massively underachieving, stagnating almost, and teams like Leicester have gone past us. So we need to get back to at least challenging for the top 4. And certainly, I would say next year, if he hasn't got us in the top 4 by the end of next season, I think we're going to it don't look like we're going to get in the top 4. I think we need to make a change. So I think with the lack of contract, if you ask me, would I keep him? The answer would be no. I think we need to cash in, because if we don't cash in, we got the same sort of scenario, all these players getting old together, But if we don't make the Champions League to get the money to cash in on him and get a better replacement, we're going to probably end up having to keep him. But that's just my view.
Yeah, no, you make some great points here. I'm just going to read out a couple of comments here. What's he saying? He said, it's funny how we're so eager to get rid of our youngsters and keep the old heads. I mean, it's interesting that. Big up the Red Cannon as well for tuning in. Go and check out his channel, people. He said, players always hit form pre-contracts. I call it the Rosicky effect. I mean, someone saying there, don't be a prisoner of the moment as well. Listen, I agree with you. I think that, can you imagine next season if we had a front three of Lacazette, Aubameyang and Willian? 3 30-plus-year-olds that are all kind of on the downward. I mean, I think with Lacazette now, he's been at the club, 4 years? We paid £50 million for him. We brought him in to score more goals than Giroud, let's be honest. That's what we wanted. He hasn't really done that. Now, I think he's a very good footballer. I think the fans love him because he gives everything for the club. I think it's clear that he cares about the football club. But to me, if we're going to get back in the Champions League, if we're ever going to get back to challenging for a title, then we've got to be ruthless. We can't make emotional decisions. I think, me as a fan, I would rather try and develop a 19, 20-year-old Martinelli up front who could become a superstar in the future than a guy that turns 30 in May that's going to pick up 200 grand a week and he's probably past his best. So with the Lacazette one, as much as I like him, and respect what he's done, I don't think he's the answer long term. And I think we can't get caught up in the emotion. But like you said, I think if this club don't have Champions League football, they will look at the market and think this is a very difficult market to get a replacement. They may just give him a short-term contract to keep him for a couple of years.
Yeah. I think ideally he wants a combination of Lacazette and Aubameyang in one striker.
Yeah, he does.
That's what he wants. There's talk of link to that Celtic striker, Edward.
Yeah.
But I think the rumours I'm hearing, he might be going to Leicester. He's played under Brendan Rodgers before, so he'll be heading in that direction. I think that the way I look at it is the worrying thing I heard from Arteta, and this was his press conference, when he turned around and said, we want to keep all our players under contract. Now, I don't know how to take that, because if that means that he wants to keep Lacazette, because he's under contract, we don't want to lose him not seeing the way it's going in terms of, the aging side of our squad. You do have to have the right balance. I do think that there's certainly room for experienced players. You need experienced players at every club to help the youngsters develop. But as you said, if you're going to have a front line of William, Aubameyang and Lacazette next season, we're going nowhere. No. I don't disrespectfully, and I know you've got Smith Rowe, Saka. I don't think you'll get that, because I think you'll always get Smith Rowe and Saka playing in those forward roles. So it will be sort of rotated. But I agree with you. It's worrying when we got William, Aubameyang and Lacazette still here. And the danger is, if you let players grow old together and then they go, you end up replacing them with players nowhere near the value, nowhere near as good. And ultimately you stay. That's how you start going from a Champions League club to a Europa League club to a mid-table club. We are a mid-table club at the moment, aren't we? Even with these. But I think if we're not too careful and all these players grow old together, I know we've got younger players coming through, but the danger is that we're not going to be able to go out and buy the top talent in Europe, and the other clubs are. It's very worrying that sort of like I saw yesterday, like the financial fair play are going to be sort of like lifting the cap on spending.
Yeah,
and that's
going to come to that. Yeah,
City and Chelsea are going to go out and start in that, and we're never going to get up to their level. We know that Man United are the richest British club in terms of they've always, they are a really rich club, Man United, even without having the sort of bonus that Man City got. So that to me suggests that Man United, Man City, and Chelsea will have so much money available to them that we're going to fall even further behind. Because while we got this owner does not want to invest in the club, and we're still like a self-sustaining model. So, it's worrying times, really. And if we're going to let players of that age just grow old together, then move on, we're not going to get good enough replacements, because we won't have the money to do it.
Yeah. Big up Hards with a super chat. Thank you very much. Said, this is Arsenal all over again. They fix half the squad and leave the rest, and they wonder why we're not challengers. Big transfer window coming up. I mean, listen, we're going to touch on that now. The FFP things come out, obviously, with UEFA. They're going to scrap it. They're going to make it so the owners can invest a lot more money into the clubs. Because I think the reason they're saying it is they wanted before only spend what you earn. But because of the pandemic, clubs have lost so much money, they feel that process won't work. So now they're saying you can pump your own money into it. Now, to me, when I read that story, I thought, do you know what? We could fall even further behind, because like you just said, Man City, Chelsea, Man United, they can just go and blow the transfer market apart if they want. We know that we're a self-sustaining model. We're already mid-table at the moment. So without huge investment from the owner, who never puts his hand in his pocket, how are we supposed to compete with this guy as owner? And surely now, this summer, will highlight and expose him more than ever that he is the biggest problem at this football club, in my opinion.
I think what will expose him, what we've just talked about, that actually comes into effect. Because the moment the financial fair play is lifted and these clubs start massively spending, Arsenal's a massive club. And if we're not doing anything about it, questions are going to be asked. And the questions will be asked of the owner. And you know as well as I do, he's not really interested in pumping money into the club. He never has.
No.
So I think the fans are not going to tolerate that. So it'd be interesting to see what the reaction is. So in this, we're like presupposing, aren't we? It's all hypothetical. But if for example, that the financial fair play does get lifted, Man City, who already have invested so much money into football, invested so much money into their owners have invested so much money into their team, turned them into like the club they've become. And Abramovich did that at Chelsea. If we can't respond to that, we haven't got an owner to do that. I think that it will flush him out, absolutely 100%. I think you've got to remember is that I follow football longer than you, Curtis. I mean, back in my day when I was growing up, you had teams like Derby County, Ipswich, who were competing for the league title. QPR competed for the league title one year against Liverpool. There wasn't money in football then. When Sky started pumping the money into the football in the mid-90s, that's what attracted these rich owners to come in and buy into English football, which has ultimately, in my opinion, led to what we've got now. So back in the day, although Man United and Liverpool was always the most successful British clubs, because of just big names, particularly Man United. I mean, Man United got relegated in the 70s. Man City and Chelsea were in the second division 20 years ago. Man City played. I live in a village in Borden, which is in Sittingbourne, Kent, and
Gillingham.
Yeah, near Gillingham. I was going to say Gillingham played Manchester City in a playoff at Wembley in 1999. I think that is the third division. So Chelsea were flirting with bankruptcy under Bates until Harding and Abramovich came in. So basically, these clubs were really down, nowhere near the levels they are now. It's only been money that's put them where they are. So money is now massive in football, and if you get the right owner, it gives you a massive advantage. Arsenal for years have tried to play this self-sustaining model, and we relied on Wenger for years. The problem is the move to the stadium, in my opinion, which should have brought us more revenue that enabled us to compete to get the better players, coincided in an uplift in finances being available to other clubs. So much so now that other clubs outstrip us in revenue, match day revenue. So that moving to that new stadium hasn't helped us at all. And that's why, if anything, it destroyed us, because we had a really good team when we moved to that stadium. And slowly but surely, the players left because obviously we couldn't go out and add to the strength of the squad. And Chelsea came along at the right time and took advantage of that. So I think in rounding it all off, this financial fair play, if it does come into play, where teams like Man City and Chelsea can now go out and spend massive money, they're going to go so far ahead of us, we're just never going to be able to compete with them. You can just get that, and we'll be where we are. And I think that the owner will then be being asked serious questions.
I mean, I'm just looking at some stats here, right? Arsenal reported a loss of £48 million this year after tax. Now, that was for last season. Now, last season, we sold Alex Iwobi at the start of last season, obviously. So, that balanced out the books. But this season, obviously, we've had no match day revenue the whole season. I think there was 2 games we had 2,000 fans. We're going to have had a whole season. And in the summer, we only really sold Emi Martinez for 20 million. And we spent over 80 million in the summer. Now, according to this account, Swiss Ramble, brilliant account, he's saying Arsenal are expecting losses of over £100 million by the end of the season due to no match day revenue, no major sales in the summer. The one positive I'm trying to look at, and I'm clutching at straws here, is Kroenke going to get to a point where, with no Champions League money, having to pay off Unai Emery, with no significant sales, no revenue, could he get to a point where he says, you know what, I'm actually not making any money here, and maybe it is time for me to go? I don't know, because it seems very difficult to get this guy out of the football club, but could this back him into a corner where he's actually losing money and he decides to sell?
Could do, couldn't it? I mean, if he's thinking like that, then he needs to sell, doesn't he? He needs to sell. I think Arsenal is a massive club and would still attract someone willing to come in and put money into it.
Yeah.
So the picture you paint is a possibility. I think that if he's not remember, he's been he's been incredibly lucky, hasn't he, over the years, in terms of he inherited a club that basically was in a great position. It's well respected throughout the football world. Had a manager who was well respected throughout the football world. So for years he could count on getting his revenue anyway through basically those factors alone. But slowly but surely we've been on a downward spiral now for a long time. So he might suddenly decide that, you know, it's time to cash in. I do think though he's planning to give it over to his son. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's the worry.
That's the worrying thing. But you know, I want him gone, and I know you do. I've got no sort of empathy. He's got no feeling for the football club. The one thing I criticise Abramovich massively, but the one thing I'll give Abramovich credit for, and even those sheikhs at Man City, certainly before lockdown, they were watching their football club week in, week out. You always saw Abramovich there celebrating. You never see that. I mean, I watched Kroenke at Arsenal. I'd never see him get excited if we score. Does he know what it means when we score? So, you know, it's sad. I just feel the person that sold him those shares or got him into the club in the first place, I know it's hard to sort of like criticise him too much, but you know, if that was me, I'd be thinking, God, what have I done? And it's allowed him to take hold of a club, and basically he's let it drift to the point where now we're running the risk of no longer being relevant as a big club. For it to change, I think he needs to go. I want him out. I just don't know how we can do it, but I just hope that we can. If what happens actually goes ahead in the way that we think.
Hillary makes a great point here. He will not sell. He's always used Arsenal as collateral or for his other businesses, Big C and Graham. I mean, he built that stadium in America, apparently the most expensive stadium in the world. Yeah. And I'm sure to obviously fund that, he would have said, look, I own Arsenal. If anything goes wrong, you've got that. So we're literally collateral damage for him to expand his empire, which...
Definitely. You know, I think the thing is, Kurt, is when he became the sole owner, that was time for him to start doing something. In the past, he hasn't been sole owner. He's sole owner now. He's now got a position where he doesn't even have to declare anything, does he? He doesn't even have to talk.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
And that is just a terrible way to be. I think, you know, the point made there by your last subscriber was a really good one. He doesn't see. He's more interested in his American football team than Arsenal. I really think, and excuse me for swearing on your pod, I really think he should fuck off.
And when Graham's swearing, you know it's bad. I mean, you know what? Just finally on that, I genuinely believe that a big reason why Arsene Wenger left was protests, was fans leaving seats empty. I know they said, you know, he was going to make the decision, but I don't believe that. I think he was pushed out because of what was happening.
I agree.
Is the only way to put pressure on this owner actually protesting, leaving seats empty, social media, things like? And why have the fans never really put pressure on this owner? I mean, they went for Wenger, but we've never really seen the fans go for the owner.
I think, yes, I think just coming back to the Wenger point, I always thought that the when you started seeing empty seats, that would be a sign that basically people were not happy with him as manager. And I think he knew that. I think he did know that. I mean, he's a very proud man, Wenger. And I think that upset him at the time. And I think I also think that in a way, I think he jumped before he was pushed. I honestly believe that Gazidis was lining up everything behind him. And then once he did that and then sort of like had a hand in a way in persuading him to leave, he got his new man in and left himself. So in answer to your question, it is the only answer, isn't it? But literally everyone's going to have to boycott the ground. But the reality is, you know, as I do, there's always, you could give your season ticket up tomorrow. There's always someone else who's going to have it. There's a queue for season tickets at Arsenal. There's a lot of Arsenal stuff comes from people like even foreigners, you know, tourists who are over. They will grab these seats just like that. It's going to be very hard to do what you say. Genuine. I mean, if there was a movement put together that could be honestly in any way trusted to get that result, I think people might do it, but people will be skeptical. It's almost impossible to achieve. You can boycott his merchandise a bit. Few people can stop going to grounds, but they're still giving him the money through the season ticket sales. it's almost impossible to do. And I think he's got the upper hand. And unfortunately, he's there, and he'll unfortunately decide when he wants to go.
Yeah. Big up Gumaydi with a super chat. Would you be happy if the Saudi guys who wanted Newcastle come in for Arsenal? Listen, to me, I don't mind where the owners are from, as long as they've got the football club's best interest at heart and they're ambitious.
100%. I think we missed a massive opportunity of that guy who's ended up going to Everton. Because he wanted to put money into Arsenal, didn't he?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he grew tired of waiting. But look, I'm with you on that. I just want the best interest of Arsenal Football Club. I would like to see football the way it was, with it not being a business. But I'm realistic to realise that unfortunately football has changed, and it is a business now, and owners are in football. But I think ultimately, if that's the way football is, you want your football club to go the same way as all the other top clubs and get in the owners that are going to help you be successful. And if that's me being sort of like flip-flopping from what I've said before, in terms of I don't want sort of like to buy the league. Unfortunately, it's reached a stage now where I can see in the future, unless we start moving in the same direction as the likes of Man City and Chelsea, we'll probably never win the league again in my lifetime.
That's a damning possibility there. I genuinely think, I've got a son who's 8, and I see the kids now, and I think Arsenal are in danger for me of losing a generation of fans. I think young kids now, they're not gravitating to Arsenal as much. They're not that attractive club they used to be. A lot of people support clubs because they're drawn to certain players or, certain things like that. I loved Ian Wright and Bergkamp and players like that growing up. A lot of these kids now, that they want to support, City and Chelsea and United and Liverpool. We could lose a whole generation of fans.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I mean, I'm fortunate that my son's an Arsenal fan. I always said to him, I don't mind who you support as long as it's not Tottenham. So, but you are joking aside, you're 100% right, because you see it also. I travel around the world quite a lot, and holidays, and Arsenal, Man United, and Liverpool are massive clubs. But if you talk, I've got a lot of Nigerian friends, but I think that slowly but surely that the ratio between Man United and Arsenal and Liverpool and Arsenal and Chelsea and Arsenal is getting wider. Do you know what I mean? Less Arsenal. Yeah. I think that's reflected in the fact that a lot of people started supporting Arsenal because we, if you look over the last 25 years, we had the great players that would have attracted people to be interested in Arsenal. And as you say, youngsters growing up would have loved watching Thierry Henry and Bergkamp and Pires and Vieira and people like that. So, but when you've not got those players anymore, then you see other clubs buying the top talent, like Kevin De Bruyne at Man City. There's just one, and just one off the top of my head there. And that's going to make youngsters sort of want to be the next Kevin De Bruyne. If they want to be the next Kevin De Bruyne, they're going to want a Man City shirt, aren't they? So that's the danger. You're 100% right. We are in danger if we don't do something about this, of losing a generation of youngsters. And we could become, you've seen other big clubs not become big clubs anymore. If you think about what happened to Leeds United when I was growing up, Leeds were the biggest team in the country. They ended up getting relegated. I know the financial reasons for that. With what was going on at the football club at the time, but ultimately Leeds was a big club at my time, and look, they got relegated. And I think you need danger signs, and you need to wake up. And if we continue to flirt with mid-table for the next few seasons, we could be left well behind and ultimately never get back to where we were. And that is a real worry.
It's crazy because I remember growing up and, Arsenal was such a strong team, so many good players. When you debate with fans now of other clubs, and I've had them on the channel and stuff, I find myself talking about Arsenal from 15, 20 years ago in an argument. You know what I mean? I go, but we were invincible. And they go, but that was 17 years ago. And I'm like, I ain't got nothing to offer you now, mate. I can't say Marouane Chamakh or Nicholas Bentner. No, but
at least you're not saying you won a league title in 1961, are you?
Oh, yeah. It's not as bad as, it'll never be as bad as that, of course. But it's crazy.
I agree with you. And I think we all do that now. On my Twitter, I'm always sort of putting out stuff from the past, more because that's my happy memories. And you are right in 100% what you say, mate. I just think that it's hard to love Arsenal at times at the moment. They can't trust this team at the moment. They got a habit of wrecking your weekend, don't they? But one thing I'll say about Mikel Arteta, if I make one point about him, is we're shifting away from the point here. Is I think one of the problems he's got at the moment, he has improved certain parts of the team. I'd like to see him improve certain players, but he needs to work out why we're so inconsistent, why we're so good one week, so poor the next. And until he does that, until he starts realising and putting that right, we're going to carry on being inconsistent. We've lost more games this season than any season I can remember. And there have been times this year when we've looked absolutely woeful, abysmal. And then there have been other times where we've been inspiring. That's the crazy thing about it. So you can't understand why we can be so good one week or so good in one half and then so bad in another half. And said that, there was a few weeks ago when we were saying, he's improved us defensively. So, but look, I think consistency is the key. That's why I say we're not a league team. If you're a league team, you're at it week in, week out, right? And you start on the front foot week in, week out. But we don't do that. It's almost like in the league, the players are a bit soft mentality. They think if we don't need to start, we can stroll around for half an hour. Or if we lose this game, there's still 30-odd games in the league season. But when it's a cup match, they know it's do or die, don't they? It's do or die. So that's why they're more at it. And so that's the worry. He needs to sort this out, Curtis, and sort of like get the team playing consistency. He would help himself if he settled on what his best 11 was and stopped tinkering around with the team so much. And I know certain players have to be rested if they've got slight injuries or something. And I know it's a difficult season, but I think the next year we're going to learn an awful lot about Mikel Arteta.
Yeah. Over 900 of you in the chat. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you haven't already as well. We'll start rounding it up. But I wanna quickly get your opinion on the manager.
I knew this was coming.
I can't let you get out of here with that because someone was saying in the comments.
I dodged it on Monday.
No, you ain't dodging that. I mean, people are saying, "Are you Arteta out or in?" I don't think it is. It's not. Yeah, you don't have to be in or out. He's here, and we'll see how it develops. But are you? I don't know. Are you having more belief in him? Are you now looking at him thinking if he gets better players in the summer, he can take us somewhere? Or are you still a little bit hesitant to say, is he the right manager or not, in your opinion?
I did a video with Robbie Lyle on my Tactical Insight show about 18 months ago, when Emery's reign was coming to an end.
Yeah.
We were being linked to Arteta or Ancelotti. I said on that video, it's there for everyone to watch if they need to go back to it.
Yeah. We
should not be taking a chance on somebody who's a big club like Arsenal should not be taking a chance on an inexperienced manager. I put that out there. And that's no disrespect to Arteta, because I think he's an outstanding coach. I just think Ancelotti was a bit like we missed out on Klopp. I think if Wenger, you talked about, remember you said earlier about Wenger stayed too long.
Yeah,
we would never know if Wenger went earlier. We would have got Klopp, would we? We would never know.
No.
I liked Klopp. I always liked Klopp. And it's a bit like the situation we find ourselves in, that we went for the cheaper option. He's only $6 million a year because he's got links to Arsenal, because he was like Pep's co-man or whatever you want to say. I'm not disrespecting him by saying that. No, I'm just saying what he was.
I've said that many times this year, Graham. Don't worry.
Yeah, so those people who are massive fans of Mikel Arteta, you can make it an argument for why Mikel Arteta should be given more time. You can make it an argument for why Mikel Arteta is a good coach and why he could turn Arsenal into a great team again. But I think fundamentally the choice could have been, if I had been the owner of Arsenal Football Club, just wish I was that rich. But if I was the owner of Arsenal Football Club and they said to me, who would you want? We had a board meeting and they said to me, Graham, who do you want as a manager? Ancelotti or Arteta? I'll tell you, I would have wanted Ancelotti. For the simple reason, his record. He's won Champions Leagues, he's won league titles, he's outstanding record. And to be honest, he's done reasonably all right at Everton, hasn't he? And I know he's had a bit of money as well, but Everton, he would have attracted players like James Rodriguez to Arsenal or something, or Alan, or maybe whatever. Yeah. Because once you get a top manager like that, they've got more pull in world football to get decent players, right? So I think it was an own goal to appoint him, and I don't want this to be the title of your video, or to sort of like have people saying that I'm all of a sudden Arteta out. I'm not Arteta in, I'm not Arteta out. So I am going to dodge your question. But I just think we made a massive mistake appointing him. Now, albeit he come in and won us an FA Cup, which has bought him time. And he has done a lot of good things. I get that. I watched that Man City game with Arsenal the other week when Pep was masturbating him after the game, sort of like saying now.
Yeah, after he comfortably beat us.
Yeah, he comfortably beat us. And I could see what sort of chess game was going on in the game, but we never really laid a glove on him.
No.
We had a little period at the end of the first half where we were making some headway down the left-hand side. Pep gets in at half-time, sorts that out, and all of a sudden we're dead in the second half. And I think he likes Arteta so much, he's going to say nice things about Arteta. So it didn't fall me at all. But I do think he's improved certain things, and I think now we've got him, we have to back him, which I have. I think it was the wrong appointment in the first place. But in terms of where I am with it, I think if he delivers the Europa League this year, he'll have me firmly on his side. 100%.
I'm exactly the same. Exactly the same.
FA Cup last year against the odds, he's got a great chance of winning Europa League this year. Slava Prague, Zagreb, or Villarreal, and probably Man United in the final. That is. He's never going to have a better chance of winning a European trophy than that, in my opinion. So if he wins Europa League, I will then tell you next time on here, after he's done that, I'm Arteta in.
So will I. So will I. I might even have a T-shirt on, you know?
Well, I would probably walk naked down my street in an Arteta in T-shirt.
You know what I mean?
That would give me such pleasure if he did that, you know? So I hope he does it, and I want him to do it. I want him to succeed. I watch him on the touchline. He puts everything into every game. He kicks every ball. He's not laid back. You can see him getting stressed out when we're conceding goals. He feels everything, you know. So I think he's massively committed. I like that, and I think he's got tremendous qualities as a coach. I'm just not sure what we've done, giving him this full power that we gave him. You know, literally now with him and Edu, you know, and the way everything's been stripped behind the scenes, giving him all this power is warranted at the moment. But I just think that he's got to deliver something in the next year. He's had one full season. If we don't win a trophy, then it starts badly next year. Bear in mind, we've had a transfer window. I just, for the life of me, will be questioning everything. In answer to the question, I'm on the fence, really. I think it was the right appointment in the first place, but I'm prepared to give him time. What I said to you earlier is true. I flip-flop every week. I'm watching it sometimes. I've done that brilliantly, you know, because I try to look at it and analyse it. And I think, God, the way he did Mourinho like a kipper the other week was I loved it, you know. And I didn't see that coming, you know, before that game. So then all of a sudden I'm thinking we have got the right man. And then I watched the first 35 minutes against West Ham, having lost to Olympiacos, although we went through. And I'm thinking, we lost in the week. They're not at it today. What the hell is going on? What's this manager doing? So it's strange, isn't it? He's evoking so many different emotions and feelings in me at the moment. So I don't know if, you know, one minute I'm loving him. He's like your wife, isn't he? It's sort of like you're loving him one day and hating him the next, you know.
And you know what? People saying in the comments it's Arteta's birthday today, so, you know, celebrate and come back and win us the Europa League. But Zach Bridges here said being a good coach has nothing to do with a top manager, and I think
that's a brilliant point. 100%.
Yeah, I think that is what has let Arteta down at times this year, because clearly he's a good coach. You know, everyone speaks about his coaching and on the training ground, his understanding of the game. But man management is something that you naturally have and you learn the more time. In any business, you know, management comes from time. And I think at times this season, he's shown his naivety a little bit. Do you think, just going back to what you're saying, do you think they made a mistake by upgrading him from the title of head coach to manager and giving him so much power in terms of transfers and all that? Do you think he should have just focused on coaching the team on the training ground?
I'll give you a one-word answer. Yes.
It's not often you give me one-word answers. Yeah, there you go. I mean, you'd be better off than that guy with the earpods in. What is he listening to during the game? Like, we're still trying to find out.
Who's that?
Arteta's assistant who's got the earpods. What is he listening to during the game?
We talk about that quite a lot on the same old Arsenal. So
it's crazy, man. But I'm with you. Look, I've actually hammered Arteta earlier on in the season. I've calmed down a lot now. I haven't slandered his name for a while. I have seen improvements, but I'm still not happy with where we are in the league. But like you said, if he can win that Europa League, all is forgiven, and it gives us a great chance moving forward, having Champions League football and having that money as well.
Yeah, I think to do that, he's got to get this sorted out where we are more at it in games, and he's got to work out why we're so inconsistent. Is it to do with the fact that he's tinkering with the team? Is it to do with the fact that players lack the right attitude? I don't think you can trust some of these players. I still think we need upgrades in so many areas. I've sung Bellerin's praises for so long, and I think now I'm finally coming around to thinking that maybe we do need to get a new right back. And
definitely.
I watched the documentary on Hector Bellerin with his son Cameron, and it was about his road to recovery. And I loved Hector Bellerin even more. And I watched that. Because I was thinking he's been at Arsenal for 10 years. He's come through the ranks. He's watching. He's so humble and he's coming back from that injury. I just wanted him to be the player he was, and he just hasn't been right since that injury, in my opinion. But I think we need to upgrade there. I do think we need to replace Granit Xhaka. I know there's a lot of Granit Xhaka fans out there, but I think we need, if we're not gonna become that top team with Granit Xhaka.
Nope.
Now we've got Partey there. I think he needs someone alongside him. People will say that Xhaka's better alongside Partey. People point to that he's so crucial to our team in build up and all the rest of it. But he makes too many mistakes for me. And we talk about, I watch Arsenal a lot, right? And when we're bad, we're bad. I watch when Mourinho's teams play bad. I know I've been laughing my pants off the last few weeks, pissing myself laughing with the fact that it's all gone wrong for Mourinho. I love to see that. But I've watched Tottenham a lot this year, and when they're not in games, when they're struggling, and not just Tottenham, other teams, when they have their bad moments in teams, they don't make mistakes. Yeah. When we are bad, we're incredibly bad.
Yeah.
And we literally dig holes for ourselves. Now, if that West Ham game seemed to me to sum up everything that's about us, why we're so Arsenal, in the fact West Ham were all over us in that first half an hour, right? Literally all over us. Now, if we'd been better, solid defensively, even if we just conceded one goal, if we had not switched off for their second goal, which I think should have been ruled out anyway, because I don't think John Moss was ready for the free kick to be taken. But it
wasn't.
But we were sort of making mistake after mistake, and basically they were really at us. But a better team than us would have found a way to manage that situation and have limited the damage. So, and that's what he needs to work out. He needs to sort out this inconsistency. As I said, the last 9 league games, I talked about we've been really good since Christmas, but the last 9 league games, 3 wins, 3 losses, 3 draws still sort of like average form, isn't it? So why are we like that? Why are we so inconsistent? Why is it when we're struggling in games, we make a mistake? It always happens. I don't see it with other big clubs, Curtis.
Yeah. No, it's true. Shadman, thank you very much for the super chat. Said, while I think Arteta is a decent coach, I still think we need a better director of football to help him with recruitment and scouting. Real got Campos. We should get Ranić and replace Edu with him. I mean, the only thing I will say about Edu, he gets a lot of criticism, but January was his first window in complete control. He shared the summer with Raul. Raul left halfway through. He did a good job in January. I got to be honest, getting rid of Socrates, Ozil and them guys, getting in Odegaard. I mean, we didn't spend any money really. So I will give him credit for that January window, but it's a massive window this summer for Edu and Arteta.
Yeah. I think it's hard to see how we're going to do that sort of business we need with what's happening, as you say, no match day revenue coming in, the pandemic's affected football, not just us. And you could just see a situation where every football club is struggling to sort of make to make deals. But if the financial fair play, as we said, is lifted, teams like Man City and Chelsea will have a massive advantage, and we'll never be able to compete. So yeah, I mean, I just hope. I don't know what Arsenal's plans are for next season. I do think they have to plan around keeping Odegaard, and if they can't keep Odegaard, they've got to have a replacement lined up, somebody who can play that role, because he's added something to this team and he's getting better. I think we found something there. Finally found something. He's the player that I think we've been looking for in that number 10. He's almost like number 10 stroke. He's even doing parts of the role of a number 8. I'm not saying he's great, but he's just all over the place. And Partey and him have got this really great understanding. And I think there'll be better to come from Partey, honestly. But I just think what worries me at the moment is if he doesn't keep Odegaard, which is still a possibility, every time he plays well, there's a danger that, we could lose him. If he gets, what I'm saying is if he starts really being what I think he could become in the next few games, if we lose that, they've got to have a target in mind. And I don't know how they're going to finance that, but they've got to get someone good to be able to fill that role. And I know we've got Smith Rowe, and I've got Saka. Some of the youngsters this year have been the best things for me. I think he's got to find a role for Martinelli, Curtis. And I just think this whole Martinelli thing, I can understand he's coming back from injury, but it just don't feel right to me. It's almost like you don't trust him so much. And the fact that he puts a lot of it, I think what you got here, and this, we talked about Arteta as a manager, right? His inexperience as a manager means that he puts his trust in experienced players. Now, because he hasn't got the confidence of going strictly with the younger guys some of the times. I know he's brought certain younger, he would argue he's brought Smith Rowe in the side, he's got Saka, a better player. But I think the reason why he's wielded a lot of the time to Lacazette, Aubameyang and Willian is because they're his go-to men. They're his experienced players. And he hasn't got the experience. His lack of experience leads to probably a lack of confidence because he knows what's on the line if he gets it wrong.
It's true. Let me just read this super chat. Gomedi said the issue with Xhaka is that the momentum of the Premier League is too fast for his reactions and skill set. What makes players good is the meta of the league and the style their team plays. We need the right players. I agree with that. I think you put Xhaka in Italy or maybe a different league, he's probably a decent player. He plays well for Switzerland in a slower style of football as well.
Absolutely. I think the pace of modern football has changed. It's all about power, physicality and speed now, football. It's not like it was when I started watching it back in the day. The whole way football's played now, it's all about you've got to be an athlete. And you've got to have the right attitude. It's no good having the ability if you haven't got the attitude, Curtis. And you've got to be able to run. You've got to track your runners. You've got to have speed, get to the ball, win your duels. And I think we've got a lot of players who lack that. And that's why other teams are overtaking us. They've got these sort of players. Money's coming to football has enabled them to go out and scout and get the right players, buy the right players who have got a lot of the attributes that are needed in a modern footballer. And that's it.
Yeah, it's true. I'm going to finish off with 2 questions. I'll let you get out of here. Right. Number 1, if we make it to the Europa League final, right? Who would you play up front? Who would be the man that you, seeing as we're having a Lacazette Aubameyang debate, who would you put your faith in?
Oh, what a difficult question. I think it would. Look, for me, I'd play Aubameyang. But I'd have to make sure that the team was set up to get the best out of Aubameyang. That's your answer.
There you go. Second one then, last one. Can we win that Europa League? Do you believe it's potentially 5 games in it? 2 in the quarters, 2 in the semis, 1 in the final.
I think I think we can win it. I just worry what I'm going to get from these bunch of players. If the players are at it, if the players show what I think they need to show, we can win it. We can beat Man United even on our day. But I just can't trust the team, when they put in a performance like they did against Spurs and the performance they put in against West Ham. If we can improve in the next 10 the final part of the season, 10 games in the league, and we get everything sort of like set up right in the team and we start playing well, we can win in Europe, for sure. We'll never have, Curtis, a better chance to win a European competition than this.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Graham, listen, really appreciate you coming on. As you were saying at the start, listen, I know you've been going through a tough time, obviously, with the loss of your mum and that, and I know you haven't been going on many channels, so I really appreciate you coming on this channel. Loads of people in the comments saying, brilliant to have you on. Can you make it a regular show? So, you know, maybe once a month, but I know you're going on the same old Arsenal and one or two other channels. It'd be great to see you back on with Robbie as well.
Yeah, I think the thing is, the way I look at it, Curtis, is that I'll get offers, and I'm not trying to big myself up to be anything that I'm not. I've got about 25 offers to go on pods at the moment.
Yeah.
Literally, people DM me. I can't literally go on them all because it'll be hard to do them all anyway. But I can't. The way I feel at the moment, I'm struggling. I think this season might be a write-off for Arsenal, and it might be a write-off for me as well. So, but I think next season, I think I'll have more time, and I want to do more. Certainly, come on your channel more. I see the aftv Tactical Insight Show with Robbie and James, if he wants to pair me with James, as being something I want to do. Same old Arsenal is my family, my football family, as you know. I've been Craig Scott has been wonderful to me. I love Harry Simu, Dan Potts, and Judge, as you know, and Mark as well has been very good to me. They've all been wonderful to me when I've been going through a lot of crap, you know. And to be honest with you, losing my mum has really affected me badly. I never realised it would the way it did. I mean, my first breath, she gave life to me. My first breath was taken in front of her, and her last breath was taken in front of me. And I think that leaves an impression on you. I think about her every day. And I just think that it's shown me in life what's most precious, you know, when you lose something like that. I will, you know, I think the greater the grief, the greater the love, and that has been it with my mum. But I think one thing it has shown me is that, you know, I'm really lucky to have people like yourself and friends that I've met through football. That's the great thing about doing these podcasts, Curtis.
Yeah.
Know you before you even were podding, and I liked you. The moment I met you, you're a really humble, nice, genuine man, you know, and you've got a great knowledge of football, and you played the game at a good level. So you know, big yourself up for that, you know. So, and I think I've met a lot of nice people through Arsenal, and as I said, my mum gave me life, and my dad gave me Arsenal, and it's enabled me to meet some really nice guys. So I'll always enjoy coming on your channel, and I just hope people understand that probably this year I'm not going to do too much, but I'll do more next year.
No, listen, Graham, look, you're getting so many comments of support. And I think, listen, even, like you said, from when we first met at AFTV, you've always supported me on this. So I'm always thankful.
I saw potential in you straight away, didn't I?
Yeah, you saw it, man. You know what I mean? And but no, so I appreciate your support. And look, it'd be good to. What's the next show you're going on? Are you on same old Arsenal?
I haven't got anything lined up at the moment. I've got a few days off from work this week, so I've just planned to do same old Arsenal, do the one with you. I think the thing is, I will probably try it when the lockdowns ease to get back on AFTE Tactical Insight Show. I do feel as though I should do something on the Arsenal Lounge soon, because that guy on there has been very supportive to me. So I will try and do one on there. But I can't do a regular thing at the moment because I'm not ready for regular pods, you know?
Yeah.
I would think I'll be doing more regular stuff, certainly with AFTV, same old Arsenal and Arsenal Lounge next season. And I'll try and fit the odd pod in when I can of everybody. You always top of my list, you know, because you know, I love coming on your show, and I think it's a great show to be on. So look, let's just see what happens. But thanks for inviting me on today.
Yeah, no worries. Big up everyone for tuning in. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be back again 2 p.m. tomorrow. And I will be on Forever Football with Francis Green, former professional player as well. Check out his channel tomorrow. I'll be on there. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thank you very much for coming on, Graham.
Thanks, guys. All the best.
Appreciate it, bro.
Just bye.